Hello folks, welcome to Fishing Live. You join me on the River Yare, not too far from Langley or Chedgrave in Norfolk, and I'm actually having a little practice today before the River Yare Festival this week. So I thought what better time to bring you my weekly fishing forecast and tell you just a little tip for feeder fishing on rivers. Now this is one of the better fish I've had today. It's been a lovely session, and this is probably close to, you can see that, we just get the hook out of him. Oh, he's angry. I'm hooked in the finger. Not what you need. Oh, folks. Let's get that, that's in. That is in the finger. Pass the barb, never mind. Right, folks. That is, we're close to £3 in weight. We'll get him in the keep net. I've done a fair bit of this sort of feeder fishing on rivers like the Yare and the Trent now. And one tip I can definitely bring you is changing is always good. So you'll settle into a rhythm when you're sort of casting in one place and you're probably getting a few bites. And it might be that bites dry up, and sometimes you'll find that switching baits is good. So you might switch, for example, from a maggot to a piece of worm, or a caster to a hookable wafter. You might find that a longer hook length makes a difference, like changing from a 4-foot hook length to a 6-foot hook length, or a 50cm hook length to a 70cm hook length. Just seems one of them that you have to keep ringing the changes to get bites, and that's what I've had to do today. It's been a lovely session, but I have, and I gave the game away a little bit there unintentionally, but I have found another little edge today which has really sort of helped me get a few more bites. It's actually caught me my biggest fish of the day. So what I'm going to do, if this doesn't go round in a second, I'm going to reel it in and show it to you. But basically it goes along the vein of what I said, of making those subtle changes to get you more bites. So I'm going to wind this in. We are getting towards the end of the session now, so it's just maybe got a little bit harder than it was earlier. What I've been doing is basically changing my hook baits around, and the biggest fish of the day, which was a bream about probably £3, came on these, the hookable pop-ups. Now that might surprise you. You might think to yourself, why would you want a pop-up on a river? Well, the beauty of them is these are the 4mm pop-ups, and along with the weight of the hook they actually sink really, really slowly. So I'll just show you what I mean. Just come in and have a look at this. So these are basically very, very tough baits. So you can put them on the hook, you have to sort of squeeze them on there, but you can see that sits right round the shank there with plenty of point showing. That's how I like to do it, because obviously we're fishing for big aggressive river fish here, so there's no point trying to cover that point or anything like that, and they stay on really well. They're called tough fukas for a reason. The beauty of them is, and I think I've put a little tank here which should demonstrate it, the beauty of them is they do actually, with the weight of the hook, get it down there, I just break that surface tension, you'll see there that actually sort of sinks down in the water a little bit. So that gives you, sorry, just elbowing my gorgeous cameraman, which is never nice. Fill the feeder up with some micros and some ground bait. We're going to get it back in. We're going to try and catch you one on one of these hookable wafters, and we're going to bring you your weekly fishing forecast. But that's the tip really, have these in your armoury, because today they've caught me a £3, which is probably the best fish of the day. I've had another one about 8 ounces on them. What's been happening though, to be totally honest, with every bait today, including these, you seem to get a couple of fish and then it's best to change. But that's just par for the course really with this kind of river feeder fishing, especially when it's clear. I mean, today we've had a lot of colour come in on the flood tide, and now we're on the ebb tide, which is where the water runs out, and that water's been dropping clearer and clearer as we've gone through the session. So there's a little, might be a bite. Oh, there's a small fish that we bumped off there. We'll have another cast, and I'll bring you, while we're talking, your weekly fishing forecast, because it's going to be a lovely weekend to be out on the bank. Gone are those sky high temperatures of 30 degrees and it being uncomfortable. We can actually have another cast on that because you can see that hookable wafter is actually still on there. Going to try and load that feeder up without hooking myself. A few casters and micro pellets, bit of ground bait there. I have been experimenting with putting worms through, but I've had to be a little bit careful today because there's quite a lot of eels in here. So too many worms, you tend to find you get a lot of eels, which is one of the reasons I've been messing about with the pellet approach, and it's been working quite nicely. I just hold the rod up there till it hits the bottom, that just gives me a little bit of a bow. We don't need a lot today. It's not absolutely ripping through. It was early on the flood side, but it's better now. So yeah, as I was saying, gone are those sky high temperatures of 30 degrees that we had last weekend. It's going to be 23, 24 degrees depending on where you are in the country. It's going to be sunny. So if you're heading commercial fishing, it's going to be shallow fishing, it's going to be margins, it's going to be edge fishing. You know, it's dropped a bit cooler, but we're still good weather, good temperatures, and it's nice and consistent. So we're moving now into probably one of the best times of the year for all kinds of UK fishing, and certainly on your commercials we'll catch a lot of fish this weekend. Again, big baits, try and be selective because the silvers will be feeding too, so things like fat boys, you know, in 10 mils, or the bigger tough hookers maybe on commercials. River wise, they're still going to be quite low and clear generally. Check your regional weather forecast because we have had some rain in some areas, but to be honest folks, I think generally speaking it's low clear river fishing. So the big fish, and again you're wanting quite sort of selective baits because all the fish are sort of cramming up into the areas where there's a bit of water left, to be honest. A lot of the shallower runs and glides aren't so good this time of year as the fish push into those areas where there's a bit of water. If you're going on the canal, I've said it the last few weeks, I'm going to say it again this week, avoid the middle part of the day because the boaters will be out in force with it being sunny, and they'll be looking now and thinking they've not got that many weeks of the boating season left. So there you have it. I mean, I'd say, as I said, generally speaking, it's going to be a great weekend to be out fishing, not only because the weather's nice, but August, September, you know, it's the best time of year to go fishing. And with it being a little bit cooler, I think it'll be even better. Don't know whether that was it. Something happened there, but I was looking at you, not at that. I'm going to give it another second and then I'm going to sign off. I'm just going to show you a little cutaway of the fish I've caught today. And as I said, probably a third of them, quarter of them have been caught on the hookable wafters, including the bigger ones. Thanks for watching folks, see you next week.